Hey, I'm Allie. My goal today is to spread the word that despite its very gritty appearance, Fallout New Vegas is actually really friendly to people like me, who might be new to the world of video games or who might not be super confident in their gaming skills. I realize that with each day that passes, that new gamer title will be less and less accurate for me. That being said, while I've been getting more into gaming, until recently I'd been staying firmly away from action-oriented games. I certainly didn't see myself playing any twitchy, first-person shooter-style games anytime soon. I had heard, however, that Fallout New Vegas was fantastic for people who enjoy narrative games. So I checked out a few clips of it to get a sense of the gameplay and sat on the idea for a few months. What I saw filled me with doubt. It was smack dab in the middle of a wildly successful franchise I knew next to nothing about, and it looked like a really dark first-person shooter. That being said, in the intervening months, I was sort of tricked into getting used to first-person shooter perspectives by a charming game called Slime Rancher. Finally, when I saw that New Vegas was a paltry $10 on Steam, I caved and decided to give it a chance. I am so glad I did, and this is why. The story starts off in Good Springs, Nevada, which is a real place, by the way. You're a courier in a post-apocalyptic world, and you've been shot in the head for your cargo. The kindly town doctor patches you up so you can be on your way to find the man who shot you and get the mysterious package back. Over the course of 20-ish hours on the low end and dozens more on the high end, you travel across the Mojave, getting to know the residents as you search for that man and incidentally picking up mostly optional side quests. I initially wasn't connected to the player character, as she was mostly a blank slate. There isn't an emotional backstory with which I could connect. The little backstory we did get, namely regarding the man who shot me, I didn't care so much about. I suppose the blankness of the main character is deliberate. You can customize your character and do a bit of roleplay. As I leveled up and chose which skills to invest in, I began to flesh out my character in my mind. Early on, I invested heavily in the sneak skill because I was scared of everything and just wanted the option to quietly check out the situation before running in, guns a-blazing. And in terms of her underlying values, well, you decide based on the choices you make during the game. The varied cast of characters have diverse backstories and motivations, many of whom will provide you with side quests, which you'll decide whether and how to complete. Decide to help a town's sick patients? Earn their grudging respect. Decide to slaughter a village? You'll be vilified. Choices matter because your actions will change who will like you versus who will try to kill you. Actions impact what people say to you, how willing someone is to help you, or even whether they're willing to share their aunt's secret recipe. At the very end, you get to see the payoff of your work as the game recaps what happens with all the factions and characters you helped, or didn't help, along the way. By the time I was at Endgame, I was known as a dark hero to the government, but was idolized by several towns. I loved seeing my status change when I would get caught stealing, or help someone, or if my companions accidentally killed a bunch of soldiers. As the story plays out, and as you align yourself with one or more factions, it becomes clear that there's this greater political drama unfolding, in which the lowly courier becomes a major player. One particular moment that stuck with me is when I discovered the Hoover Dam for the first time and finally felt invested in this bigger picture story. I was just exploring around a military camp. I had been there before, but I noticed a path which I had never gone down. This might be my ignorance of United States geography, but the Hoover Dam, which all the political factions were vying for control of? I turned a corner and was right there, laid before me in all its hugeness. It felt like this big culminating moment when the courier realized her place in the history of the wasteland. Adding to the immersion was the fact that there are even radio stations you can listen to using your character's personal device. Primarily, you've got the choice between the more country-oriented or a 50s-oriented channel, but once in a while you do come into range of other radio stations, which makes the world feel real. While I didn't keep the music on for my entire playthrough, the radio certainly helped me settle into the wasteland. In spite of the very gritty visual appearance of the game and the seriousness of the main storyline, I actually found the game to be really silly and funny in tone. I laughed out loud at more than a few points. I think the juxtaposition of the game's grittiness with cute or silly storylines created a tension which wholly surprised me. While on one hand, you can try to help a companion avenge his wife who was sold into slavery, you can also unite a man and woman who have been making eyes at each other through their binoculars. Part of the uniting includes ensuring the woman isn't blown to bits by the intense defense system the man's town has in place, but it's cute nonetheless. You also get to use all sorts of wacky weapons, like the holy hand grenade, or a flamethrower, or even a rolling pin. I think I discovered that I've got a lot of bloodlust. To begin with, the difficulty is scalable. You can choose a mode from very easy to hardcore. I played on normal, and while I died pretty often, the game doesn't penalize you for dying, and I found the game to be quite easy. In addition to the default difficulty levels, you can further customize your play experience through mods or themed challenges. The way the combat system is set up allowed me to progress easily, even if I'm not the best at aiming or reacting. Fallout has the VAT system, which allows you to stop time, and at the cost of allotted action points, select which part of the enemy's body you want to target. And most importantly, it made me feel like a badass. Me. For me, combat and controls with a low barrier to entry is key. Complex controls can take me right out of a game because it's not second nature to me. Trying to make sure I'm hitting the right buttons at the right time constantly reminds me that I'm playing a game, and usually poorly. That and being able to pause to heal up was a lifesaver for me. And I will say that despite how intimidating PC gaming can seem, playing with a keyboard and mouse is also much easier than a controller. That being said, beyond the easy combat, the keyboard controls weren't intuitive or explained anywhere. I was probably 50 hours in before one of my viewers informed me that I could press T to pass time. The leveling up system also helped level the playing field for newer players like me. As you complete side quests, most of which require no combat at all, you'll earn experience points. When you earn enough experience points to level up, you'll have the ability to increase skills which make your character stronger. For example, your proficiency with guns or your ability to talk yourself out of sticky situations. Every other level, you also have the ability to select a perk. These are additional abilities, some of which are locked behind minimum skill point requirements. Some are as simple as increasing your accuracy with rifles. Most are a little goofy and a lot of fun though. For example, one of the first ones I chose was the Black Widow perk. I had special dialogue options with male NPCs, and did more damage to them. All this meant that I could really customize my play experience and wasn't locked into one approach to solving a problem. If you hate the idea of wandering the wasteland alone, you can also pick up companions who have their own storylines and quests. They do feel very overpowered. Often, they would clear out a batch of enemies before I had a chance to get in on the action. Towards the end of the game, I ended up leaving them at home more and more because I wanted to get my hands dirty too. Finally, adding to all the positives of the base game, there's an extremely healthy modding scene which really expands what you can do. I spent quite a bit of time swearing at my computer, but when I finally figured out how to install them, I went with a few cosmetic mods, and a sprint mod which I couldn't resist. In future, I definitely plan on playing the game with a mod which adds even more content. Before I finish, I will say that there was a frequent point of frustration present through the game. I got lost a lot during my playthrough. I would say be ready to look up hints if you don't want to be wandering through identical hallways, as the maps aren't particularly helpful. I understand this can cause problems for more seasoned players too. I think it's safe to say that I've caught the Fallout bug. I've just started playing Fallout 3, and then I'll likely move on to the New Vegas downloadable content. Despite its intimidating appearance, I'd wholeheartedly recommend Fallout to any new gamer due to its low technical barrier of entry. While I didn't end up caring so much about the general story, what I did care about was the world and the people in it, including their everyday, or not so everyday, problems. I think that if casual gamers look beyond the regular recommendations like Stardew Valley or Animal Crossing, they'd be very pleasantly surprised. Try it out. Thanks for watching.